always wanted to travel the world surfing. So eventually, you know, when I went to college, I did an exchange in Australia. And I discovered over there that they had these around the world tickets. And I would meet all the people that were coming from the east and from the west side, you know, traveling the world and with different stops. I decided when I finished college, I wanted to do that around the world ticket.
Right.
I wanted to surf all those places they were telling me they were coming from, right? Indonesia, you know, New Zealand. So when I finished college, I went to England, saved money there because that was the place to buy that ticket for cheap. So
right.
I worked hard over there. Even though I had the college, I did all sorts of jobs. That changed my life in a way. I did a goal, a dream that I wanted, that I had right in my mind for many years. I did it. I traveled. And once I went back home, you know, I came back with bigger dreams, right? And now for me, it was time to start, you know, working. I was always dreaming of my own company. I grew up behind a counter with my parents, so I always wanted to have my own business. I met my wife. She went through an exchange in Mexico, and eventually we decided to come here in the United States, and that's where it started. A few years took me working here and there, selling cars and doing different things, until I was able to open up my own business in 2012. I do scrap metals and recycling.
Nice.
So I'm in my year 11. You know, it took me a few years, but I could say that I achieved my dream also, you know, have my own business, successful business, having people, having the time for myself. I suffer many years from my back since that trip in Australia.
So it started when you were in Australia? Is that when it started?
Yes.
What year was that?
2000.
So it started 20 years ago. Then how did it go? How did it progress over the years?
It was more like, you know, suddenly exercises or suddenly things that I carry that eventually next day will hurt, you know, will hurt a lot. My parents being, you know, owning pharmacies, and back in Mexico, you know, it's easy to get the muscle relaxants and all those. You don't need a prescription, right? So they will give me muscle relaxants. And yes, eventually when it was hard, I will go to the specialist and they will say, yeah, you got a herniated disc, you know, you got to do these exercises for life.
Right.
And yeah, I will do those stretches, you know, especially when I go surfing, I will go very often. So before getting into the water, I will do those stretches and you know, but it was always there. It's always been there, that little pinch in my back, you know.
Sure.
Sometimes better than other ones. Now, starting the business of recycling, I made a lot of mistakes there carrying things, you know, especially with the glass. They were heavy and I have to lift it high. And it was only myself. I didn't have any employees. So I had to do what I had to do, right? But I think that's what just worsened the case, right? Jumping in places, you know, from those containers where I fill it up with metal, and just being young and feeling it was faster and simple just to jump from, you know, 10 feet down to the ground. All those things, not that I look back, you know.
Right.
So
you were trying to do the right thing, but at the same time, you were living your life and probably making it a little bit worse. And then over the last 10 years, how did it progress? Was it getting better or worse?
It was by season. Sometimes it will get better, right? Sometimes it will get worse. I will gain weight and that will make it worse. I started noticing on sofas, like I couldn't stand and be sitting for too long. Or I became more picky on the sofas. I got to a point until, you know, I started getting sciatic pain maybe, you know, 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
And then when you were having the sciatica, how was that affecting your lifestyle? Were you still surfing during this time?
Yeah, I was. It was mostly when it was standing up or sitting, you know, that pain. But never as excruciating as this last time, which was the 4th time that I had sciatic pain. This last time was like multiplied by 10. It was something that, you know, I couldn't stand. I mean, if I stand and walk 2 feet, the pain will go so strong through my leg that will put me down for another 2 hours just screaming, you know.
Wow.
So it was tough. In a month, I lost like 20 pounds because I didn't want to go to the bathroom, so I didn't want to eat.
Right.
I was just doing some proteins and liquids, you know, because I knew that was, you know, as much as I tried, it was really hard. You know?
Before you found my program, what treatments had you tried?
Just a bit of stretches, and muscle relaxants with some vitamins that will my mom inject. They did work in a way, you know. Like before, before I got into a call with you, first it takes a month for specialists just to give me an appointment, or 2 months, right? In the meantime, they got me on painkillers that wasn't doing it.
Right.
So my mom came and he brought those injections for a week or two, and I was better, but I still couldn't just be walking too much, but it was day and night. After that, I started looking into it, and I came across your website, and that's when I scheduled the call with you guys.
Sure. Now, did you ever see the specialist, or you never did?
I did.
What did they say? They said surgery?
He told me I qualified for surgery if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he gave me another appointment for a month.
Right.
By the time I came to that appointment, I had already 2 weeks with you.
Right.
2 or 3 weeks.
Sure.
So I was feeling better. I was already walking. I had my cane. And I told him what I was doing and how I was feeling. And he did a few tests on me. And he said, look, at this point, I don't think you need a surgery. If you're feeling better, if you're doing that, you're doing the right thing, just keep doing what you're doing, right?
Right.
And don't come back, he said,
Right.
if you do it the way you're doing it, don't come back. Right. So at least, the doctor was honest with me.
That's good.
Nice enough to recognize that I was trying different ways and it was working. So
Sure. So when you started my program, what was your pain level?
I don't know, 8 to 10. I wouldn't know how to tell, but yeah, it was maybe 8 because of those injections helped me in the beginning because I couldn't move.
And you were mostly in bed, you said, right?
Yes, I was mostly in bed.
Wow. Yeah. So how long were you in bed?
1 month.
1 month. And what were your thoughts? Like, what was your thought about your future?
I mean, you work hard, to achieve something, and now that you have, achieved the American dream, right? Like now you got to be in a bed, like
right. That's
always been simple in my life, like I like surfing, I like having a company, I don't want that many things, and now that I have them, like I'm suffering because of this.
Right.
So, yeah, it happens. In a way, I appreciate these things happen to me because that's a wake-up call. This is a serious call to you to really. It's all or nothing. You can't just go halfway, because I tried halfway for 20 years.
Right.
It eventually got me to the fourth, situation.
Making it worse, right?
Yes. I mean, you do feel okay sometimes, the one day better than other ones. And yes, I've been okay, but it's always been something in there. I've never been 100% for the last 20 years. So by this episode and going through that, I committed to being 100%.
So you started the program, you were stuck in bed for a month, the pain was an 8 or a 10. And then how soon did you start to feel a little bit of relief? Because I know it doesn't happen quickly.
I think you don't realize, but it's little things. I will say every week I will feel better.
Right.
Little by little, but I will feel better. Sometimes between days, I will feel better. Right. I started feeling it maybe for the last month.
Right.
That are big changes for me. Right. I start doing push-ups, now complete push-ups, right? Sure. I start doing things that, I didn't think I could do. Right. So on your exercises, your weekly exercises, I do them. And then, if I feel okay, I listen to my body. I try to trick a little bit extra on each of them, and I discuss it with Likia. Sure. Once I have that my call with her.
Right.
Sometimes she said, that's great that you're doing that. Sometimes she said, be careful, maybe don't push it too much. Right. But I think those are the things that help me figure out, like, this is working for me. I just got to keep doing it. Right. I'm eager to go back to the gym and start exercising, but I've been patient enough to follow the system and so because I don't want to go back to zero again,
And that's the key, right? Because I think that you're pushing pretty hard at the beginning to get back in the gym, right?
I do want to go, but I've been holding myself,
It just takes time. It takes time. All right. So what is your pain level now?
I don't have any pain. I do feel something there, It is like it's fear once, and second, you do know that it's not 100% solid. So there's a big movement can tweak it, right? A bit. So, but for the most part, I don't have any more pain.
When was the last time you felt this good?
Before I had my sciatic pain, I was better than this. But it's just that now I kind of have a path to solution. So I just, You know, I think that now that I've been consistently working my core,
Sure.
that's what is making the difference. And before I wasn't consistently working the core. The
Right.
first month education that explains to you the bending, right?
Right.
And how to use your hips, you know, that helps a lot now. I'm not thinking about it anymore, but doing it, I think that helps. And that's going to make the difference between before even, you know, that I was just bending. And even when I stretch, I was just bending completely forward, right?
Pain was at an 8, 9, or a 10. Now it's down to a 0. Still a little bit there. Still a little bit here. What are your thoughts of your future now?
I want to go to Indonesia trip maybe in September next year, right? That's my goal. I want to be fit. I want to be in my best shape. And, you know, I got 2 other brothers that are surfers, so I want to take them with me. So that's my goal. That's why I'm just doing the exercise every day to be 100%, you know.
Awesome. And you're going to get there, right?
That's the goal.
Yes. So, somebody who's potentially interested in the program, what would you tell them?
You have 2 ways. Yes, you can go to the surgery because that's going to come. That sounds like an easy path. My brother had a surgery, right? And he did great, right? But at the same time, you're still going to go through a rehabilitation, right? And it's going to take time as well. So for me, I'd rather take the natural way first, right? Try everything I can, right? And just be patient because you do see results. And it's not like it takes a year for you to be doing activities that you wanted to do.
Right.
It doesn't take that long. Just be patient enough and do the work. That is the key. I mean, nobody's perfect, and I don't think anyone has done 100% every day.
Right.
But I'm sure I'm being at 95% of those sessions, you know, for the last 5 months. And that takes a commitment. You know, sometimes you don't want to do it. Sometimes there's a lot of, you know, life's in the way, especially when you're feeling better. It's so easy to say, you know, that's all right. I can do it tomorrow, next week. And that's when you start, you know, missing them. It gets easier. And that's when you break the habit.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make the habit. And once you break it, it's harder to make it back. So I think that's the key.
I always say that's why it's important to have a dream goal, not just to be out of pain, but to do something at a higher level, like surfing, right?
That is absolutely right.
It takes a little bit more effort, for sure.
Only a surfer knows, doctor.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. So is there anything else you want to say?
Ligia, he's told me that we will, by week 30, we will have a meeting with Nick so that we can try to see if we could start doing some weights exercises.
Perfect. Perfect. Awesome. We'll get you back in the gym. Don't you worry about it, because that's important. That's really important for the surfing too.
Yeah. So
awesome. All right, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your story. So you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, doctor. Have a good day. Nice meeting you.